All right, so I think we will not wait any further. Let me welcome all of you at the third short film conference online. Yeah, I think it's you probably all noticed the big change since the first conference we organized. Before it was something new. We all installed Zooms, and it was just the beginning of a process of meeting online. And now actually it's a regular daily life base for all of us. So it is like a new normality. So welcome in this new normality. And this meeting is organized by the Short Film Conference, which is an organization created by the almost 90 short film festivals, producers, distributors, sales agents. And the network was created actually to exchange knowledge, help each other, and support the system of the short films all over the globe. And I think it's proven the necessity of existence during also the time of the coronavirus, when by organizing the sessions, this discussions, to postpone, to cancel, or to go online. That was like at the beginning of the process when nobody actually knew what to do. The second discussion was about going online, and then we discussed about all kinds of ways of going online with our festivals, which platform to choose, what are the pluses, minuses of that process. And after these two conferences, we got the feedback from many participants that we are missing one more puzzle of this whole system, and that we never talk and didn't discuss with the filmmakers and about their perspective of for the coronavirus crisis situation. And that's why we decided to invite filmmakers and also people who are in a very close relationship with the filmmakers and discuss about their perspective for that in that matter. And let me maybe introduce first our panelists, and also before I'm gonna do it, I'll just say that before it was our conferences were more based on the presentations and the very short discussion, and this one is actually we'll go a bit with the flow of this conversation, and I really hope that it's gonna be a bit more vivid discussion about these matters than before. And then finally, let me introduce our participants. Let me start with filmmakers. Niki Lindroth from Sweden. You probably know her as the director of A Burden, but also Something to Remember Now, this year short, which started its career in the old system, let's say, and now continue the career in the new reality. Lasse Linder from Switzerland, and then probably you know him from the All Cats Are Grey in the Dark, and this is exactly the same story. So we, on the list published by the Swiss Film, we saw this like a great history of the screenings at the traditional festivals, and then from certain point going online.
Yes.
And then two people who are connected are staying with this close connection with the filmmakers. So Nicolas Schmerkin, producer and also distributor of Autour de Minuit. If you know, if you're interested in the artistic animation world, then this is the company and this is the name you probably know. And one more name which you are also probably familiar with if you are looking for the festival strategies. Kati McCullough from Festival Formula. These two people gonna maybe present us their experience and their thoughts about their connection, based on their connection with the filmmakers they collaborate with. And the last participant, which is actually the film festival, but film festival representative who actually verbalized in one of his comments, very loud comment on Facebook, Sergio Fant, a programmer of Berlinale, represents the festival, but also I got the impression that from the comment he published recently, also a person who really would like to put festivals and maybe turn the perspective of the festivals in a bit different angle, and then also like a thinking from the perspective of the festival, but about the situation of the filmmakers. Okay, I think this is the, maybe just to clear the administrative organization side of this meeting. This meeting will take, it will take around an hour and 15 minutes. And my big question and a request is, please use this nice chat box to send us your questions, because we're gonna use it during this discussion to also address your thoughts and questions. And as I promised to our participants, I would like to start with a small sentence which was sent to me by one of the greatest animators and a great friend, Theodor Uszczew. And maybe it's a bit provocative. I don't know what you're gonna think about it, but when I asked him about festivals going online, he said, for me, it's pretty clear. Online festivals don't exist for me, but now they are important. So the festivals still can still continue their existence and get their fundings from the governments. And it is a help from the filmmakers to the festival. It's over. But the filmmakers don't have any help now. They are abandoned, alone, and miserably sacrificing their hard work, finances, and time put in the films to keep the train going. So maybe Sergio, I will start with you. How would you address the Theodor concerns about, are they really filmmakers are the part of the system which actually carrying the burden of the situation the most?
I mean, I think that we are unfortunately all carrying a part of the burden, and we should also be reminded that we are not, maybe we are all here speaking in good health and with so let's not forget we are not carrying the heaviest part of the burden, because it's going much worse for other people. Then yeah, of course, it's I mean, my experience also, I mean, you were mentioning people having a real connection with directors. And in my case, and in our case at the Berlinale, the connection was the most recent one. That was like the last February and beginning of March when the festival finished. And of course, just a few days after, I mean, the Berlinale happened and took place normally, almost by, it was a miracle, because I mean, looking at what happened just a few days later. So we have been very lucky. But I mean, again, we as a festival, we might say we are lucky and that's it. The festival took place and full stop. But I mean, honestly, we are as heartbroken as the filmmakers, because I mean, we had the chance to present a number of new films just finished. I mean, the result of, I mean, I should add one detail. I'm working on the feature film program in Berlin. I'm not involved directly in selecting the shorts. So we screen a number of new films. Luckily, most of them with a very good reception, press, audience, and already a lot of invitation line up for the next events in the whole year. And all that kind of collapsed in a few days. So of course, I mean, we could say as a festival, who cares? But no, it's not like that. I mean, actually, we were not really even able. It was our. I mean, I say plural because for me and the rest of the committee and the new artistic director, Carlo Chatrian, was the first edition of Berlinale. We come from, most of us come from Locarno before. And the festival went well. We were very happy about this Berlinale, but honestly, we couldn't enjoy it really, because it was like, on one side, we were satisfied from the result of our work, but on the other hand, a festival like Berlin, maybe like this big festival, we have the chance to really do something for the films and the filmmakers and change something and make something happen for the near future and also for the far future, hopefully. And this was like, didn't happen. So we were, on one side, extremely satisfied for the festival, but on the other side, we couldn't really enjoy this because, I mean, we realized that all the plans we had and all the work and the benefit we expected for the directors and for the films we presented was like gone. So in this regard, I think it would be useful to think in the long term for festivals finally happening again next year and so on. I hope they will reassess their rules and regulation, their premier status. I think we will talk about that, because there are a number of great films out there that they barely had the chance to be seen. So yes, I mean, this is, I think of course that filmmakers are affected. I mean, but also I think, I mean, we in Berlin, we finished our job, but at the same time, let's not forget that also in the film festival world, I mean, there are a few lucky, fully employed people, and there's an army of freelancers relying on different jobs and total unstable employment and unsecure financial revenues. So, I mean, when so many events are cancelled, when events are postponed, I mean, there's a lot of people that are also at the moment without the jobs they need to make their finances kind of make sense. So, I mean, I think we are all, I mean, it's not that because a festival is financed and takes place that all the people, I mean, there's not just a festival happening, there are also a lot of people behind that, and they're also at risk at the moment. So I think we should think in terms of the whole kind of environment. Would be.
Yeah, because definitely, like the system is beneficial for all of the participants. So of course, for the festivals, for the filmmakers, for the distributors and sales agents, in the, let's say, old system. Because now I think what we face is this switch from the traditional festivals into the online version, or some kind of a hybrids. So the question is, I think, if the hybrids festivals or online festivals can deliver the things which the traditional festivals delivered before. So I don't know if you maybe Lasse and Niki, maybe let's start with Lasse. Do you feel like a disappointment that after this participation in the traditional festivals, suddenly this path was changed, and what is the change actually for you? So maybe Lasse first.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's kind of disappointing, but also I have the opinion I'm still healthy. I'm not that affected. You know, I'm sitting here and it's okay, but it was a disappointment. But I was also kind of amazed and also kind of astonished that so many festivals in such a short amount of time put up all these IT services to make an online festival possible. I was kind of, how did they do it? And I have a lot of respect for that. But honestly, the digital, you know, talking to a screen and watching films alone on your laptop, in the beginning it was maybe interesting, or, you know, for everybody something new, or, you know, you make the best out of the situation. But yeah, it's not the same, of course. It will never have the same experience as a physical festival experience. But also for me, I was very lucky to have premiered last year in Locarno, and I had because of the very good distributor, a very nice festival tour. And for me, it was very, very new. It's kind of my first film that is going to festivals. So I was thinking, this is all crazy and this is all very nice. And how can this even be possible that I'm able to travel to all these festivals, and that it's like, that this is a thing. I was always surprised that this is even possible. And of course, I was kind of disappointed. But to me, I mean, if you have the world premiere, like between March, April, May, and then this happens, and then you're like totally in the void and you don't know what's going to happen. And then this decision, if doing it or not, and waiting and everything's unclear, this must be terrible and shit. And yeah.
And did you make this decision about, let's say, this change with your sales agent together, or how did it happen? So was there like any kind of like a discussion together? What do we do now? Or
we Skyped in the beginning of the virus, when it was like suddenly like real here. And Autour, he's the distributor. He submits films always like 2 months, 3 months, I don't know, before. So these festivals that were affected were already submitted, so you cannot really do anything about it, I think. And it's just, I think we decided to just go with it. And all the festivals that went online and accepted the film, we put the film with geo-block, that only in that country it is available. And yeah, I think we just did it. But yeah, it changed a lot. I mean, for me, yeah, it just was kind of weird to talk to the computer all the time and to record answers from text, and then it's just kind of a weird feeling all alone talking to my screen. It's just weird. But for everybody, it's weird. But I think I'm still privileged and everything is okay, but it was weird.
All right. And Niki, if you can add something to that.
Well, I also really feel that I need to say, I mean, of course, but I mean, I also feel very just like lucky that, you know, I am healthy and my family is healthy and my parents are healthy, because like I also live in Stockholm, which has really been the center of the disease here in Sweden, and it's been like wild here, and I do know people who have died, and I know people who have got really sick, so it's like it's everywhere, and once you're in that position, you start to feel sort of blessed with what you have, really, and just like, yeah, like on many levels in life, of course, but also yeah, I think on my, I mean, I have like so many feelings about this, because like in one way I also feel a bit like thinking about like the possible with festivals, which I've experienced a lot before, and while it's lovely to travel and it's so like rewarding and interesting to meet all, you know, like the film industry and all nice filmmakers and everything, it's also, I've also felt a bit I do feel a bit panicked about the climate change and, you know, things like that, and just the feeling that the way that we sort of travel the world all the time, also with work and with, you know, just for a meeting and just like everything, that sort of needs to be a bit more limited to begin with, and so in one way it felt like some sort of I just felt very relaxed on that, like on that note, you know, on the like it's just like everything is just like, you know, quiet and still now. That felt like in one way really good, but like for yeah, speaking about this, of course, it's, I mean, I felt really like I had I mean, of course I had really I was so lucky to have something to remember in it had its world premiere in Toronto, and then of course Berlinale, which was like a great experience. And as I said to Sergio before we started recording, that it's just, you know, it felt like years ago, even though it was just a couple of months ago, like, you know, hugging, going to sort of like receptions, you know, like having like, you know, watching wonderful films together with an audience, and, you know, everything. It's just like such a social and wonderful event, and now it's really nothing. And I also had something to remember as a part of a huge like solo exhibition that I did here in Stockholm. So I felt that I really got so much out of that film before this happened. So it's not like on a personal level, it's not the end of the world to me like this, but it's like Lasse said, of course it would be awful to sort of like have your film starting its festival tour now, and I mean, like, I think it's especially hard with short filmmaking, because we don't really have that much except from festivals. I mean, like it's so hard to sort of finance a short film. It's usually like you're like you're so poor, and so, you know, you really struggle to make your film, and then if you get lucky enough to get accepted or like invited to a good festival or festivals, it's such a joy to be there, and like to sort of have your little moment of, you know, like, I don't know, meeting people and just your little time to shine before, you know, it's because also like where do we see short films after the festivals, and like that's a huge question in itself. And I think one part could be that these online festivals could be maybe a nice thing for, I don't know, like maybe a younger generation that could sort of like, you know, that are more into this online, you know, world, at least compared to me, or maybe it doesn't even need to be younger, just some sort of like more computer like with more computer skills or more used to doing, you know, this online things and watching films on the computer. I guess I'm just very old fashioned, and I love to watch films in the cinema, and that's how I usually do. So maybe that will be like this, you know, you get your chance to show your films to another audience or a wider audience or something, but it still gets so distanced and so like not personal, and like Lasse said as well, just like sort of participating in these Q&As with just, you know, the filmmakers, and just like, yes, so hello, and it's like it's such a different, I mean, it's it just becomes so anonymous, and yeah, I would feel that it would really be a shame if I were starting my, you know, film like starting here with the festivals like this spring. That would have been awful.
But I think you named like two very important things. One, like I'm thinking that, of course, that for filmmakers, the opportunity to meet at the festival and like a matchmaking, it's like one of the biggest things. But also, this is very interesting what you said, that actually online festival can fulfill the shorts after the festival. So maybe this hybrid might be connected not with the fact that it will be online festival at the same time as a traditional part, let's say, but it might maybe fulfill this gap about access to the shorts after. That's a very good concept, actually, Niki, think. It's like a very good point. And maybe Kati, because I'm really curious, because this is like a voices of two filmmakers. You, of course, have on your slide I think the last time you mentioned, was it I'm sorry, I don't remember the number, but you represented like a couple of hundreds of films.
Yeah, I think it's about 168, 169. So our services are split into two different options. So we either create a strategy to somebody's budget and they implement it themselves, or we actually kind of create a strategy to the budget and do the submissions on their behalf. So, you know, actively bearing in mind that we generally strategize for about 12 months approximately for every film, which by the time you've heard back from everywhere is about 18 months being active on the circuit. So I think it's about 168, 169. What we found quite interesting is we've actually kind of had an increase in clients join us since lockdown has happened. And I think I mentioned when we were talking yesterday that we've actually seen a lot of silver linings, which probably aren't necessarily prevalent to every filmmaker or every festival or every distributor from the word go, because it's an upheaval. It's, you know, normal service has been disrupted. But the silver linings are how you perceive it yourself as the individual. So for example, if we think about this pre-pandemic, you know, every filmmaker cannot attend every screening of their film naturally because of location, if they have any travel bans on them, or if they have no budget, or if they have a day job, or if they have childcare to think about. So now being in a position where they can actively engage in a festival is a bonus for them. But of course, any filmmaker who can travel and doesn't have those things to worry about, you're kind of all in the same situation, because none of us can travel, none of us can attend a festival. What I find quite interesting is no festival who starts off as a brick and mortar event ever kind of goes, I'm going to go online, because that's not their goal. That's not their aspiration. There's a difference between an online film festival and a festival who has had to go online, and that's a differentiation that we've had to kind of discuss with our clients, because naturally everyone balks at the idea of a festival going online because they presume it's going to be online for everyone to see. And as already mentioned, you know, there's geo-blocking, there's kind of live streams, there's caps on how many tickets can be sold or how many streams can be given of the film. And that's going to vary from festival to festival. So that's what we've found the filmmakers' first kind of understanding was. It wasn't kind of all festivals are cancelled, especially not from filmmakers on our slate, because we're constantly in communication with them. But it was, okay, if a festival is going to change, how is it going to change, and how am I secured as a filmmaker, and how am I honoured with my screening? And I think if you're a filmmaker who's navigating the circuit by yourself and you don't have that support or guidance, it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to seem bleak. It's going to seem like the world has ended in terms of your career. But I think there's actually more benefits to garner from this right now. And we talk a lot to festivals as well. And what we've kind of said is every festival has kind of been put on an even keel, not in terms of kudos or industry or professional kind of attendance, but just in terms of what you do next is what defines you as how you reacted well or badly as a festival. And we've seen some festivals do brilliantly. We've seen some festivals do terribly. So it's interesting. I think it's how people react. The one thing I will say is every festival that we've ever engaged with, and we look after a lot of films, and are kind of across different parts of the circuit, whether it be territory or, you know, industry level festivals to small genre niche and everything in between. Every festival that we've dealt with has the filmmakers' intentions at the forefront of their decisions. So it's always, you know, we're seeing a lot of festivals now reaching out to filmmakers with questionnaires saying, look, if we do have to go online, what are your thoughts? And it's interesting because this curtain between filmmaker and film festival has been pulled back. And I definitely embrace that, because I think they are never used to being kind of under the microscope so much in terms of their process and their decision making and protocol. And we've trying to be, you know, we tried to say to every festival that transparency is key here and communication should be the strongest it's ever been, even if you are saying we don't know what we're definitely going to do right now, because everyone is in the same situation. Everyone is having to say we're not sure if our location will be allowing people to fly in, or venues will be open, or if we'll be able to have full capacity. And that's what's been quite interesting. We've definitely seen an increase in work because filmmakers are taking the time to finish work that they maybe haven't done, or they just shot, or they just did post-production before lockdown. But also it's about filmmakers, from our perspective, embracing the fact that things have changed. Nothing's gonna change. No festivals are suddenly gonna cancel completely across the whole circuit. So it's kind of, you either go with it or you don't, bearing in mind that the lead-in time for a festival is incredibly long, with deadlines happening now for festivals that happen the end of the year and straight into February next year. So if you're not in it, you can't be considered.
Yes.
So there's lots of silver linings, and I think sometimes depending on your initial response and your position in this transactional part of the circuit, it can sometimes be overlooked, or actually kind of something that you can kind of keep to yourself and say, okay, I'm still doing something. That's good.
And based on this experience so far, do you already have among your recommendations for the filmmakers some does and don'ts?
So if we're handling a film and they're a submissions client, it's generally us kind of advising them. So we're the interim between the filmmaker and the film festival. So generally, if a festival comes to us, selects a film and says we are going to be pivoting to being online or doing a hybrid, then generally our question is, and they are already answering it before we've asked it, you know, what are your plans? What are your security parameters? We've only had to draw to pull out one film from a larger festival because they were releasing all the films online with no geo-blocking, which is very rare. But also the reason that we can do that is because that particular client has qualified for the Oscars, so we can't physically put the film online with no parameters before it gets to shortlist stages. So, but that festival knew that. They kind of made that decision and said, you don't have to opt in, but you can still use the accolade, you can still be listed on the website, you're still part of the curated program. So there's been no definitive agreement that's kind of happened. It's generally kind of on a case-by-case basis. I think the discussion mostly has been about if a filmmaker paid a submission fee for a physical event and the festival has had to pivot. The discussion has been, well, if the filmmaker doesn't want to be considered and withdraw, there is grounds for a refund because they've applied for one thing and it's changed. again, that's dependent on the festival and also the submission platform.
Thank you, Cathy. And Nicolas, in your case, with filmmakers you distribute, do you already have like some decalogue of the things which have to be delivered by the online or hybrid festivals to accept their proposal to be presented in the online version?
Yeah, in the very beginning of the confinement, it was a bit like everybody was shooting everywhere. We had to answer very quickly for some submissions we did before the confinement, and so we had to see really case by case. There is two people in the office, Oksana and Annabelle, dealing with this kind of matters, and suddenly it took much more time to make our usual work. It took much more time to try to ask permissions, especially for TVs or any other right holders, because often the films we are dealing with in distribution and also the films we produced and that we distribute as well have been pre-sold or sold to television. So of course it's not the same thing to be screened in a festival in a theater and to be screened online when you have acquired, when a TV has acquired the rights or has put an holdback on the non-linear rights. So it means that we cannot just screen without permission. So the first thing was to see, it was very, very messy at the beginning, because every preferred that blind way of acting. Some put for free with the public access with no geo-blocking, and some other were more into like try to repeat what they would have done in a physical festival, but online with a pass that you pay. I mean, let's say like Annecy, you know, like try to recreate what they would have done in a physical world, but do it online. So we had to take, and still now, a lot of time to analyze, ask the festival how it's going to screen the films, and then see if we can, if we decide to go, then ask for the rights for the TVs or any kind of right holder that would be annoyed if the film is online for free and accessible for everybody. So this was a big change for us, because this took a lot of time. And unfortunately, it was a bit sad. And again, let's put again in a big world. Of course, we are. It's a privilege for us to make films and to screen them. But we, in this situation, compared to a normal situation, we were sad that we had to cancel some invitations, because they didn't match the let's say the rules or the decalogue that you're talking about, which is, of course, has to be checked. If the festival, because it doesn't have the time or technology or budget, cannot have its own platform and has to put it in an existing way of showing films online, like let's say YouTube or Vimeo or whatever, we don't accept, for example, festivals that go on Vimeo, because you cannot geo-block, and then I mean, it goes against the rights that we have signed probably with other right holders. So in this case, when they don't have this technology, we offer to put the film in our YouTube channel, where we can control, because of the studio management, we can access in YouTube. At least as a distributor, we have this CID, content ID technology, where the film is tagged, and then we can geo-block or decide to put in, you know, put restrictions on for example, dates, like from one day to another date, only in one country, etc. So if they can't do it themselves, we suggest that they take our link, where we can handle this kind of questions. And sometimes they cannot accept that. So then we have to cancel the invitation. What we notice is, of course, there were so many different things happening, like festivals that went online but then decided to change the dates, then for example earlier on that, and longer for a longer time, and then it collides with other festivals where you promise something but then you cannot really accept two different things for the same film at the same time in the same period. You cannot have one film that is accessible with a pass that you have to pay in Annecy, for example, and at the same time the film is accessible in another festival but for free and worldwide. So then we have to decide, because it's really strange to the situation. It never really happened before. So the thing is, as distributors, it's the annoying situation. We try to help as much the festivals to continue. We also have a big interest on keeping the selection of the film in the festival when it goes online also, because on the production side, this make points. It's not only important because they can be Oscar eligible festivals or European Film Awards eligible festivals, etc., but also because in France we have a production system where everything you've done into festival submission, selections and awards give you points to produce the next films next year.
Of course.
So if we start canceling every invitation, then next year we will be naked to apply for producing new films. So for us, it's really important that we also continue for the future of our productions to continue going into festivals. So having said that, it's still a bit messy, but now we are a bit more aware of what we have to do, how to react, what we can ask. But still, some festivals, like again this morning, a big festival in North America that sends an invitation and say you have 2 days to give the answer. If you withdraw from the festival, you're not in competition anymore. It's you're in or you're not. So it's like you don't have been selected if you cancel the online screening, but they don't even tell if it's geo-blocked, it's how is it organized. We have 2 days to decide, but then we don't know what they're doing. So we've been discussing in France with all the French festivals and all the short film distributors, and maybe it would be good to have this kind of decalogue that you're talking about, at least so the festival know what producers and distributors and maybe also filmmakers expect from them. Maybe not like a very strict rule, but like that would be what we should all try to do in the near future, because of course some big festivals like Annecy that already had a platform and all the system, they were much more prepared for that than a small festival that never went online and doesn't know how to do it and doesn't have the budget and the people to do that. Having said that, as a producer and in connection to the filmmakers and how they react when about that, we are in the case that we had 2 films that we were finishing. We had to finish. The hard thing was to finish the post-production during the confinement. That was already a bit hard, and we had the Annecy selection, and we also had the shortlist in Cannes. So in a normal world without COVID, probably we would have 2 or even 3 films that went to Cannes and to Annecy, and that would have been like our best year ever. Yeah. And then everything fell apart, and of course Cannes first postponed, so then the premiere in Cannes could not happen because we accepted the Annecy selection. It was in mid-June. Then Cannes decided to probably go after Annecy. Then it was like, oh, what do we do? Shall we cancel the Annecy selection, which is sure to go to a world premiere to Cannes that is not even sure to happen? So for a few weeks or days, it was like, what as a distributor, as a producer, and talking with the co-producers and the directors, like what shall we do? Of course, these are like rich problems. I mean, we have films that are selected in several festivals, and it's. But then it was a bit like a short circuit in the brain. What shall we do? This is something you never experience in a normal life, let's say. So well, we decided to stay at Annecy, and so we had to finish the film for Annecy. And for example, Empty Places, the new film by Geoffroy de Crécy, we had to finish the mix the first day of the deconfinement in France. It was like the only slot to be on time to then deliver Annecy. And the first real person I saw after the confinement was the director of this film and the mixer. And also the director. The first person he saw was me and the mixer of the film. And then we were there with our masks. So I already knew the mixer, but Geoffroy, the director, was the first time he saw the mixer of his film, and he never saw his face because he was always wearing his mask. And we were there in the auditorium, and we were mixing in a very nice auditorium with a 5.1 sound system. And we said, this is ridiculous. We are appreciating it. I mean, we are doing fine-tuning and mixing and doing all this spatialization, but people will probably only see this film in a flat little screen in stereo or even worse. And this is so sad that we are doing all this work and probably for nothing. We don't even know if the film will be screened someday in a big theater,
Nicolas,
as if it
you
should
know
have done.
that you would be sure that this film will be screened for the upcoming time only on the small screens. Did you consider postponing the premiere just to, let's say?
No, we never considered. I mean, we were just considering should we go to Cannes or to Annecy, or maybe not. It was not this film in particular, but another one. But no, we never. Yeah, at some point we said, is it really worth doing the premiere online of this film? But yes, we didn't know what would happen next, because if then you cancel Annecy, and then for a year you only have online festivals, so it would have been sad to miss Annecy. So then we quite quickly decided to, okay, let's go online. Let's go to an online premiere, and that's a bit sad for the filmmaker. He has done only one film before as a director, Geoffroy de Crécy. It was in 2007. He was not selected in Annecy, and for this one he said, oh, finally I will go to Annecy, and then he could not go even. And I mean, he waited, let's say, almost 13 years. Then he's doing his second film, and he's selected in Annecy, and he's not again going to Annecy. But hopefully, if he has an award, that is a very nice thing that Annecy promised, is that filmmakers that are awarded will go next year, and that would be like the little reward for them. So in terms of filmmaker, the two, so the other one is Alberto Vasquez, the director of Decorado and Psiconautas. His new film, Homeless Home, also, we finished the post-production during the confinement, and the premiere will be online in Annecy. So he's also very sad.
Yes.
But he's happy that the film is selected, and maybe even more people will see the film online. So that's also something to consider. We are very curious to know if all the online festival will have like the list, or at least the numbers of the viewers, and maybe compare how the film was viewed compared to a normal festival in a theater. Just to add something, and then is that as a distributor, the markets are also very important. It is as important as for the filmmaker to have the feedback from the audience, and for us, of course, as producers, it's very important also to be in the theater, to see the planes hitting the screen, and have the feedback from the audience. But especially in Annecy or Cannes, the market is also very important, to meet people, to meet other festivals, to meet the TV buyers, and this is also gone. It's not only the film itself in the theater; it's the whole thing that goes around a festival and a market like Annecy, and this is very sad also to miss. And so this can have maybe an impact on the career of the film after. I don't know. We'll see.
But based on, I think so far, it seems like an industry part of the festivals is the easiest to transfer into the online version, because anyway, the market screenings were many times like lots of people were using the video labs, and anyway, in a way, professionals get used to watching sometimes films, which is a very bad thing, on the small screen. So
for us, like the Annecy, I mean, we kind of work hard again in our, we are privileged people, but we work hard during the whole year, and Annecy is like the reward for us. Like to go there, it's nice, meeting people, meeting friends, meeting new people, showing the films, etc. So it was a bit like a punishment to to Annecy. Yeah, yes. Hopefully.
I see that there are already like a first questions. Let me check. Let me have a quick look. But we have already questions, because I have one big question to all of you. But before, I would love to make it a bit more interactive for the question from outside. So, a question from Julie about what Nicolas was saying about the TVs or other broadcasters that brought the diffusion rights for the short films. On the general basis, how did they react about online festival selections and diffusion of the films online? Were they understanding that it was a very exceptional situation, or did they not change their point of view about making the films accessible online? It's about the connection with the broadcasters. I don't know who would, I think maybe Nicolas, that's maybe the question to you, and maybe also Kati, yes?
We asked the permission when we knew it was could be possibly positive, because in some cases we already knew it would be. I mean, let's say the new film by Alberto Vasquez hasn't been even yet broadcasted by Canal Plus. So of course they would have said no if we said, oh, can we put it online worldwide, no geo-blocking and for free and everybody can access. We didn't even ask them that, because we knew it was no. So we made a first filter. We asked them when we thought first that it was possible on our side, regarding all the parameters we know about the film, the premiere, the rights, etc., the way it is screened, in which platform or which way. And then when we first were agreed that, and also with the filmmaker, then we asked the permission, and often it was a yes. And there's some conditions, like sometimes putting not the logo, but with the participation of and the link to go to the website of the channel, or some kind of things like that, with the authorization of that channel. So most of the time it was a yes, but we only asked when we expected a yes.
Okay, thank you. Katy, do you maybe have something to add to that?
We're not a distributor per se. We're purely just festival strategy. So what we advise is, if a film has come to us because it's been commissioned, or it's already kind of been broadcast on TV, or is online on some format, then we kind of just discuss it with the filmmaker. It's very rare for us, because we don't know about sales or distribution or any kind of legal contracts about the life of the film outside of the festival circuit. Always reverts back to the filmmaker. It's because it's their piece. Just much like if they win a prize award, that doesn't go to us, it goes to the filmmaker in full. So we're just purely the festival strategy side of things.
Thank you. I have actually, because you all mentioned several times, like this term is coming back to this conversation over and over, geo-blocking. So actually I have a question to Lasse and Niki. Are you against, or are you pro geo-blocking? So you like the fact that your film in for example, in Switzerland is only screened at the Swiss festival, in Switzerland for the Swiss audience, and then in Czech Republic for the Czech audience, etc. Or you would prefer that every time you give a acceptance for screening your films at certain festival, it's without geo-blocking, and every person on earth can watch it. So the guy from, I don't know, or a person from Australia can connect and watch films at the Vienna Short, and in this way, of course, get the access every time with every festival presence, with unlimited amount of the audience. Maybe Niki, if you can start.
Yeah. Good question. I haven't really thought about it that much. I'm just so used to that there are sort of restrictions even during like normal festivals, that you sort of like start with this festival and then it's this and this, and that's just something, that's just how it goes. And also, since we do have, like, for example, with the Something to Remember, we like our co-producer is Swedish Television, then it's like yeah, they don't want to show it to the rest of the world until, you know, this date and that. So like it's been like that forever, and I just see it as, I mean, if there's anything, if something, like I do think that keeping the film a little bit exclusive in the beginning could sort of be good in one way, and also, like, sooner or later, like just in my experience, like sooner or later you're able to release it the way you want to anyway, so that will be your decision in the end. So I don't know, really. I don't have any strong opinion.
Mm-hmm. And Lasse?
Yeah, like idealistically, yes. I think I would love that most of the people, or like as many people as possible, watch my short or any film of any other director. But I think the whole situation is way too complex with all the rights, and then you go there and this, if you publish it there, you cannot put it there. And also what I learned, I mean, I don't really have a lot of money, and what I like realized that you can also, that this is a film, and when everything is going well, that I can like earn a little bit of money, or people can earn a little bit of money from it. And I think it's not possible if you just put it online on some platform. And also, I don't think if there would be like one platform that everybody can watch a film, in the end, not more people would watch the film. Then there is several geo-blocked platforms, because if you were from Austria and you know Vienna Shorts, you will go to Vienna Shorts and you will not realize, yeah, I'll check this Aspen Shorts Fest, which is not geo-blocked, and you go there and watch all the films, because I think you just don't know it. And you get to know it more like locally. Or I mean, all these festivals, they also created, you know, like this aura they have, or like this thing, and
that
you get a lot.
Like exclusivity is quite important, I think. Just sorry to interrupt, but just like sort of to get attention, I guess, in the first place. But like, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And I would also be overwhelmed if there was like, yeah, here is all the shorts. Do whatever you want with it. You can watch them all. It's like, it's an overdose. It's an overdose, I think.
Yeah, but sorry, Kati, yes.
Well, I was just going to say, just in terms of geo-blocking, it's kind of not one size fits all for every festival. So from our experience, some of the festivals in the North American territory are actually kind of giving the decision to the individual filmmakers. So for example, we've just dealt with a festival in Mississippi, and they had to pivot online, and they basically said, what geo-blocking do you want for your individual film? Would you like it open to the world, just the US, or just to Mississippi State? It's dependent on the level of the festival, because some festivals are kind of trying to keep as close as they can to their pre-existing rules and regulations about premiere status stipulation. But at the same time, there are lots of festivals that are being more lenient, again, depending on where the festival sits on the grand landscape. You know, if they are a higher tier, not going to be as flexible. But I would say, if anyone hasn't checked it out, there is the Seed and Spark pledge, which I think it's increasing every day, but I think there's about 300 festivals that have signed that, which is basically saying about not only production year stipulation being more flexible, because there will be a fallow period. Personally, I don't think it's going to be as fallow as people think, that kind of knee-jerk reaction, but also going back to this idea of premiere stipulation, they are where they've previously stated, if a film is available on a VOD or behind a paywall, we do not want you to submit to us. They're actually saying, if you've been selected for a festival, it's behind a paywall, or it's a VOD, or it's been geo-blocked, you are still eligible to submit to us, because they're considering the whole circuit, not just themselves individually. So it's actually kind of more of a community aspect in terms of the festival landscape. So if anyone hasn't seen that as a filmmaker watching, definitely check out the Seed and Spark pledge, because there is a plethora of all types of festivals on there, from some big players to kind of some very small ones as well.
But you mentioned, of course, Sergio, the premieres. This is the subject I think we also have to touch. But Sergio, you wanted to?
No, briefly, I would say as a festival programmer, I would never go for like letting the filmmakers or producer choose what kind of geo-blocking, because that would turn into presenting randomly different selections to people in different places. I mean, if I mean, as a programmer, I think about the program of a festival as a wall. So the idea that just part of that wall of that discourse would be presented some places, and in some other places other films, I would like completely break my idea. I would prefer personally to have it geo-blocked to a place, to a territory where everybody agrees that the program is kept as a wall and not as single films that can be reassembled randomly here and there. And the other thing, I agree very much with what Lasse said about geo-blocking might be also overestimated, because now we are talking about among film professionals, and we have a map in mind, a territory made basically of film festivals everywhere all the time. But we have to think about the final users, the audience. I mean, they have a connection probably with one event, with over a few events in their cities, in the region. And I don't think that the loyal audience of short film festivals in Australia, they will be saying, oh, wow, there is a Vienna Shorts is offering their films for free this week. So I think that, and then as we know, I mean, as film professionals, we have ways to see films, we have platforms, we have tools that allow, we have exchanges of links and things. So we can see films all the time from everywhere. But the regular audience, I think, even if geo-blocking would be eased, I mean, they would be not like caring unless festivals, I mean, that's the other idea, I think that have not been brought up yet, that we or the festivals come up with one platform at that point, I mean, offering this as a service year round. And therefore, if you are a short film fan and you have like there's something similar for documentary festivals. I mean, what's the name now? The European platform organized in collaboration between Hilava and Lisbon and Vision Durel and so on.
Is it Doc Alliance?
Doc Alliance. Sorry, I was. And that's, I think it's an interesting idea. It's not new. It's not something that is being conceived now because of the pandemic. It's something that started before. But in that way, I mean, film festivals are offering, they cooperate on providing a service that can be, you can subscribe to. And so in that is also an option, I think, that this situation is offering to festival to think beyond the 1 week, 10 days, 5 days length, but to think in the longer term of yearly activities and how they can take care of a community of viewers on a longer term and not just on a short event.
Mm-hmm. But I can imagine that someone, of course, is connected personally because visited many times a festival in her or his hometown. But then, if I know that, let's say, one of the best and most important festival, documentary one or like a live action or animation is this and that, then I would maybe to go and blocking, so I can go for my favorite hometown festival, let's say, as an audience.
I agree. It can be true for maybe for a dozen festivals. I mean, of course, everybody knows when Venice, Cannes, Berlin, and Sundance are taking place, or for documentary when IDFA and Hot Dogs and a few others. But I think you can count them on 1, 2 hands or 3. I don't know if you have them. But that's it. I think. I mean, it's not. I mean, the numbers are very different from the ones we have in mind. I mean, we as professionals, we think about festivals all the time. There are like hundreds, thousands of them. But I mean, if you are a cinephile in that you are happy with your local art house cinema programming, maybe you are lucky you have a Cinematheque, you have subscription to Mubi, you have Netflix because you want to keep up with some series. I think you have enough. Come on, I mean, it's. I also have huge respect for people's free time. I think it's precious. I mean, I don't want to kind of overwhelm it with like a million shorts or film or whatever. Have a work.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Nicolas?
No, I think this geo-blocking thing is not to forbid people that are not in the country of the festival not to see it, but it's for us, it's really about the rights. I mean, if I don't know, we, for example, Canal Plus about Homeless Home, if they see that the film is everywhere online for free, they will freak out and they will ask us to give back their money, and we cannot afford that. So it's more about that, and also about, we didn't talk about it, but it's also linked, is the piracy thing. I mean, the way you put your film online, I mean, if it's open to everybody and if it's not, there's nothing about that aspect, there's more chance that then your film is taken by some other people in some platforms and etc. That's why when we know that the platform doesn't have the, I mean, there's no 100% safe solution against that, but for example, again, when a festival cannot afford it, if we give our link from our YouTube channel, then we know that if this link is there is a pirate that take the film, as it is already tagged, then we will notice and we can kill the pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Shut the video.
So I was going to ask a quick question, because this comes up quite a few times, but obviously piracy, everyone's going to have their own kind of perspective on it. But talking about a short film, what if somebody were to set it up where they could screen grab or record a short film? My first thought is, from a filmmaker's perspective, they're not going to submit it to festivals. And if they put it online, then everyone's going to know that you can report it. So this idea of piracy, I think, in terms of short film, I find quite interesting. Mm-hmm. Because if somebody's going to steal a short film, what will they do with it?
They can monetize it, and they can make money out of it if you don't control it.
But how would they monetize it? Because if they would need to sell it to a sales agent or distributor, they'd have
You
to
can monetize on internet. If when I say piracy, is about like just, let's say someone just take the film and put it on YouTube, for example. And it's not even about money. It's about again about the rights. I mean, if you have sold the film to UK or whatever, to any kind of country, then it starts making a lot of buzz on internet, then the channel will ask you to either to take it out from internet, and sometimes you don't have the tools to do it, or just to, I mean, to give back the money. I don't know. I mean, a lot of TV channels, when they buy shorts, they don't want it to be online for free.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think it was just a question that keeps coming up, because if you, I mean, that the idea of
I know for filmmakers they are more than happy that the film is viewed by so many people.
Yeah, no, it was more like if you took something that's like an industry video tech, there's nothing to stop anyone from doing exactly the same thing. Like there's I suppose it's the presentation and your trust of faith in the platform you're putting it on, because you know any festival that has a market and it has a video, we can log in anywhere in the world. So there's still that kind of element that it is online, that somebody could steal it. Yeah, I'm playing devil's advocate. Just
we are, as distributors and as producers, and we have contracts with people who owns the rights most of the time that are not the online right. I mean that forbid the online screening. We have to try to take care of as much as we can. Sometimes and about the torrent, whatever kind of torrent piracy, but really people that, oh, that's a nice short film, I will put it in my YouTube channel, just that, and then you can have millions of views that are just can be cool for the filmmakers, and also why not for the producers, because there are a lot of people seeing the film, but then you can be not in a very good legal position with some other people.
I think when we talk this, I mean, we should not forget that you're talking from a very special position. I mean, that is France and the audiovisual market you have there, and it's probably, it's what you're saying, it's true, but it's probably valid for like a small percentage of the short films that are made worldwide, because I'm from Italy, and there is barely no market for short films. I don't think that much is sold or much is bought. And therefore, I mean, if we look at a larger picture, probably most filmmakers would be glad of just fine that things can circulate, because otherwise they have no other kind of economy out of that. So I mean, it's a very different situation from the one you have and the one you're working within.
Anyway, we do, even ourselves, once a film has done his festival career and is not under any kind of rights for TV or whatever, and because we also sometimes make deals with VOD, legal VOD platforms that screen short films. There are some. Then after 1.5 years or 2 years or so, then we put ourselves online, the film, and it's for free, and then we put it in our YouTube channel, and it's all cool for everybody. So it's just a matter of time, the timing, when you want the film to be a bit exclusive also for the festivals, and of course the TVs or any kind of right holder that bought the film, which is normal that you hold them, that when they buy something, you have to be clear about the rights you sell. So of course we ourselves put combine at some point, and the more people see it, the better. It's just this very limited time, you know, the let's say the 18 months or 24 months of the festival career, that we also, because most of the film in the beginning we do them to be screened on theaters. I mean, there are cinema creation, so we also privilege the theater screening. Now it's not the case anymore. Well, in this period, so it all changes. But we prefer that people, when they can, they go and see it in a big screen with a good sound and with other people, and share this moment together.
So it seems like we all like a bit almost are in this new reality of this hybrid festival. So we are like all waiting for the coming back of the traditional festivals, and then also I think accept the reality that it will be existing now with this additional element of the online version. So thinking about the future, because I think we are all doing it already. With this like a new reality hybrid festivals, what will be the things? What will be the directions, or maybe like a recommendation, maybe mostly from the filmmaker perspective, for the festivals in this new format? Lasse, Niki, what is your dream hybrid festival now? So how we can use the online like a part of the festival to make your life easier, and which part of this online part is the part which you hate and you would like to limit?
Yeah, I can just say that, I mean, of course, if there would be a chance to reach a wider audience with your film because of this online possibility, that would of course be lovely. It's lovely if the film reaches an audience that's not just like the actual visitors on a festival, because that's which are very limited due to like money and time and geography and everything. So that's of course like a great opportunity if that can be managed in a good way. But I mean, I do really miss, of course, the sort of social events, and like we've discussed already, just like meeting people and getting connected with other filmmakers and other industry people, and just like, yeah, like I said, just like have feeling that you're really like, I think especially as a short filmmaker, I really experience like you're constantly at the kids table in the film business, that it's very much like, yeah, that's, you know, the short festivals, especially short film festivals, it's such a great reward to sort of like, yeah, get your little time to shine and just like be there and present your film and get the attention for all super hard work that you put down on it, and also, yeah, get your like, so that your film will be seen as a you know, as the work of art that it is, even though it's short, you know. So I think that's super important to sort of like value your own work in that sense. So
do I understand correctly that for you the biggest value of the festival is their traditional version, like with like a meeting live, and then let's say online version is the additional things which festivals might implement, but for you personally it's not the most important one?
No, from my perspective it's like that, I think.
And Lasse?
I think from my perspective, it's also the traditional one that I'm looking forward to again, and that really gets the emotion to any viewer, because for me, I don't really get, I get emotion when I watch a film on the computer screen, of course, but it's more with the whole cinema experience, and when you're physically there and you meet people and you actually learn from the other filmmakers, and you like easily get into a conversation which they just happen, and you talk and you learn and you meet people from other countries. But
and free wine, sorry.
Yeah, of course. And of course all these bad parties, but I'm a huge fan of bad parties. I also really like to go to shitty village parties in Switzerland, and I really like bad film festival parties. I think they're very good. But on the other hand, I'm always kind of, it's weird that me as a Swiss person, that I could travel to all these festivals and like pollute the world and actually just go somewhere to, let's say I go to Canada, and 1 month later I could go to Canada again just to talk 5 minutes after a screening about a 20-minute film and pollute this world, like make it dirty. I think it's sometimes, and I think about it, so weird, especially when all my friends, we are discussing about climate crisis all the time, and they're doing their year of not flying or fly never again, and I'm in this position that you have all these opportunities, and it's a very short time in your life that you can actually do it, and it's just kind of weird. Maybe this virus, I don't know, it opens up that do you really need to go? Do you really need to fly everywhere? Like in general, not only for this short film industry or film industry, but like in general. It's just crazy that this traditional way of film festivals is like it is. I think it's just crazy that it's like an all year round. You could travel all the time. It's beautiful, but it's also it's crazy that it's working.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay, all right. So maybe some changes in the traditional festival systems as well. Maybe some, yeah. Right. Sergio, what do you? Yeah, because I saw that you.
One thing I would say is that we are talking about something new, something coming, but for short films, I think the idea of online festivals was already there. I mean, for features it's different because, I mean, before people will feel confident with, and most of all rights owner, to put features online, we see also, even now, it's not easy. But for short films that have a completely different scale and system, I mean, already before there have been attempts, when one of the many unfulfilled promises of the internet was to have the online short film festival, which we apparently nobody really needed because, I mean, cannot think now. I mean, again, you are more into short films than me, but I cannot think now of an online event for short films, which could happen because technology is available. I mean, films are available. I cannot think about an event that became more important than the actual film festival that are there, and probably also will still be there. So I mean, we talk all the time about things that are supposed to be new, but not everything is this new, probably. Then the other thing, maybe I would say, is that when we are online, we should think that it's an online film festival, but it's also inside this. It's completely different system that we know it works. We know how to keep it functioning, proper, lovely, beautiful. We know how to make it pleasant for the audience. I mean, we are into a system that is completely different, where there are much bigger and much more bad guys than we are. And I mean, I was hearing from some experiences from some other festival that went online. For instance, one of the most difficult things was to make the smaller films work in the program, because when you create a program, again, I'm talking from the point of view of a programmer, when you create a structure, a discourse, you put certain films in certain places, you put certain screenings in dialogue with certain others. I mean, you can work with the audience, you can create a narrative, you can create a space for them to move and to explore, and so they might be, through their own knowledge, they might be attracted by something, but then you guide them through discovering something else. I mean, you have a way for doing that, and you in this way films that are less privileged in the first place. But then online, it's much more difficult. I mean, and we within the festival, we risk to recreate the same structure when we are on the web. I mean, so we are the small festival. I mean, within a festival, there is a small film and a bigger film. The big film is like getting all the streams, and the smaller films that no one remembers is just getting the crumbs. But the same is within the web. I mean, there will be Netflix and these players, and they're already into our devices. They're already there. People doesn't need to search for them. They are knocking at your door, offering their content. I mean, the festival will be something different. We have to make way, and we have to convince people to come to our platforms and our channels, and it will not be easy. And I don't know if we should really try to do that, because I think it's we have a long list of examples where that in this merciless liberal economy that runs this system, I mean, there is not much way for like being the good guy and trying to do something nice. And the last thing is that, which is for me one reason of hope, is I think that probably already now, I think we are kind of tired of this online extra abundant offer of content. And we come from a time that we've been, I mean, I'm Italian, luckily I'm not based in Italy, but I'm Italian, I know well the situation. I've been, and anyway, as I told to friends in this time, film programmers are among the people who notice less the difference between before and during the lockdown, because that's basically how the way we spend our time anyway. But I think that when this will be over, people will be tired of like being in front of a screen on your couch and on your computer. Hopefully, if we still have some brain cells kind of spinning around, I think we will be much in the need, much way than before probably, to go places and to go to a place where there's a social kind of space for our minds, for our relationships. And in this regard, it's true that probably this place where we want to be, it's not the Canadian festival where you fly across the ocean, but maybe we should think that this kind of global wide network of festivals and things maybe can also be rearranged on a more local scale.
Mm-hmm.
We have local film theaters, we have local art house, we have museums, communities with auditoriums and so on. So why not like trying to talk to these people, or to people, maybe some of us are running these places, and try to bring that idea of that we think about a festival like something that happens far away and it's very exotic and exciting. It can be exciting, maybe less exotic, also happening a few blocks away. So why not screening films in different places and opening more opportunities for this thing to happen? And of course, I mean, for filmmakers, if they travel to present their films all the time, I'm sorry, Lasse, it will be still quite heavy, almost as sitting in front of your Zoom most of the time. But yeah, so I mean, in this regard, I'm optimistic. I think that people will want to go back to have something outside of the living rooms and to experience that, and that can be also revive cinema as a space that is connected to our communities and not just to this kind of more abstract international conspiracy network of obsessed cinephiles.
Right. Okay. I will treat, if you are allowed to, if all of the panelists will allow me, I'll treat that comment as a very optimistic one, as the one which will slowly getting to the end of it, the end of our meeting. I really hope that we will see each other in person at the I don't know, the first physical festival, which will take place, I hope, in the autumn or the next year. And for those of who are really interested in maybe stabilizing and making a bit more clear all the laws in the universe of the online festivals, there's this information that the Short Film Conference already starts to work on the codes of ethic for the online festivals. So we, among the short film festivals, started to discuss about this decalogue of what to do and what never to do as an online festival. And I hope that we will be able to present results pretty soon. I will, of course, use this moment to thank you for accepting our invitation. It was a pleasure to have this discussion with you. I'm also very happy it was recorded, because then all people who couldn't join us now can watch it later. It will stay in the internet forever. That's very good. Thank you to people who join us for your questions. Some of them were answered by the panelists separately. Some of the questions were answered online. And let me just use this also moment to invite you for the two things. One is the conference which we organize next week, because as I mentioned, this is the third online conference, but we already prepared the fourth. So that at the same time next week you'll be, I'll just check the all informations for you. We can see each other and participate in another conference. Sorry, I just try to find all the information. Maybe it's unnecessary, but I just invite you for the next week for another conference organized by us. It's the last one before summer. I hope after summer we're gonna meet in a different reality. And one more thing, because the next week conference is organized only for the members of Short Film Conference. So if you want to become a member, please, of course, sign up, reach us via our website, and you will receive all the information. Thank you again. Stay safe, and hope to see you soon in reality. Yeah, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.